relocating this particular stadium is not aware that either they are maintenance or they are owing the salaries for these particular stadiums. You find a lot of questions surrounding this particular issue, talking about what happened between Sablo of Betty traveling all the way from the West region to the Central region for its venue to be closed. You see that this is demoralizing. What happens? They have to spend extra days in Yaoundé. What pays for those expenses, especially when the club had not yet put into consideration that they were going to spend an extra day. You see some of the challenges that are ongoing in terms of the Cup of Cameroon. Despite all these odd faces, it has been going on smoothly with results so far. And we're talking about out of 5 spaces that the Southwest population region had, we're left with just 3. That is Victoria United, Islafo Sports Academy, and Mighty, the Chucky Boys of Sinodev, who have made it possible to the rounds of 16. Talking about the Northwest region, it's a bad one for them this particular season, where you have Mbakma United already ousted, Foncha Street equally, and now it is PWD of Bamenda. What a shock after Dibamba equally defeated them through penalty shootout, where after 90 minutes of play ended up on 1-1 tie. But the boys from Dibana said it's time for us to equally do what EPVA did to Cotton Sport of Garoua, and that's how they actually crossed onto the round of 16. And that's a little bit of what has been transpiring in terms of the Cup of Cameroon. And equally, we're talking about 25th of May. It is going to be the start of the university games, and it's going to begin in Garoua this year. Garoua is going to be the host city in terms of the university game that is commencing, and equally we having other universities that are already making their way to Garoua in terms of this particular university games. And away from that, let's talk about what's transpiring in terms of the Lions Den. It's been 1-2 months since the whole saga has been going on in terms of what who is supposed to be at the helm of the national team, who is supposed to give instruction, who is not supposed to give instruction. And at this point, we are at the point where it is Fecafoot who goes on to react after the cancellation and arbitration chamber of the National Olympic and Sports Committee of Cameroon goes forward to suspend the appointed technical staff that was appointed by Fecafoot some weeks back, after which Minsep equally had appointed her own technical team. And in response to this particular communique by the chamber, you have a Fecafoot that says that the chamber has gone against some laws and regulations guiding the national team. And yes, that even if they were supposed to retaliate towards the appointment, it was supposed to be 3 days after, but we're talking weeks after Fecafoot actually made out this appointment. And the communique goes on to stipulate that the press release goes forward to stipulate that if the chambers does not make sure that they take measures to readdress the issue, it is going to be forwarded to FIFA. And the big question that lies in our head right now is, or in our mind, who can actually solve this particular ongoing controversial issue between Minsep and Fecafoot. And away from what's transpiring in terms of the Lions, that let's look at what's going to happen with the Guinness Sickle. And mind you that it is going to be the finale of the Guinness Sickle coming up on the Friday and Saturday in terms of the last day of play for the Guinness Super League, which is going to be crowned for March day 22 for season 4 of the Guinness Super League. And equally to tell you that the Guinness Super League competition, according to Sinafok, is the only competition that has paid the player's salary from the month of January right up to the month of April, having 100% in terms of that particular domain. And let's go straight away to look at the fixtures for Friday, the 24th of May, 2024, in the city of Douala and Yaoundé, where first day of play at the Boda Moussa Stadium here in Douala, it is going to be Kaiman Fields against Itambong, and that game is going to be played at exactly 3 o'clock. Meanwhile, at the Fecafoot Center there in Ozwa, it is going to be Leafs Minproof against Inja Sport at exactly 10 a.m. As well will lock horns with Authentic 12 p.m. Meanwhile, Amazon Fab will clash against It playoffs at exactly 2 p.m. Meanwhile, Saturday the 25th of May 2024 at the Ngwai Stadium over there in Yaoundé, we're talking about Eden Fields will clash against Lekki FF at exactly 1 o'clock. Meanwhile, the Guinness Sequel of the day, when we talk about the Guinness Sequel of the day, it is that day where every Guinness product, especially the drinks, it's sold at a very cheaper price. You wouldn't want to miss this particular Guinness Sequel against FC AS Fortuna and FC Bolowa. We're talking about this particular game that is going to crown the champion of the Guinness Super League Season 4. Is it going to be FC Bolowa who stands at the first position? Or is it going to be Lekki who equally stands at the second position? And mind you that when you look at it, they have the same points, but the goal difference is what differentiates them. In as much as they have goal difference, Lekki has more goal difference than FC Bolowa. We're looking at head-to-head, and that's why you find FC Bolowa in terms at the helm for the classification. We want to say let the best team win in terms of the last day of play of the Guinness Super League. And now let's talk about this old house name here, Tete Evans. We'll talk about Tete Evans. Many Southwest population will remember him during the days of Bestas, and equally right up to the under 20, where he actually, when he was a master class, and he is still master class, as he has picked up the title there for the Portuguese side there at the second division. I want to say congratulations to Tete Evans for why not making here there in Portugal. And away from that, in as much as Cameroon is yet to put a full stop to whatsoever is happening within the national team, other African countries have already dotted their I's and cut their T's in terms of the player list that is going to count for the double confrontation of the World Cup that is coming up in the month of June. We're talking about clubs like Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, Angola, which is going to be a Cameroon's opponent in terms of this particular World Cup qualifier on the 11th of June. And we're asking ourselves, if your opponent is already ready, what happens to Team Cameroon? And we are going to see how this particular whole saga is going to end, in as much as we no longer have a time. And equally, Guinea has already made publish her list, and a host of other African countries have already published a list. Just few are yet to do so, and mind you that there is no longer time for Team Cameroon to waste. We're hoping that as these other African teams have already made public a list that is going to represent them in the World Cup qualifier that is coming up in the month of June, others that are still jogging behind, especially like Cameroon, is going to also cut the running train. And that is it in terms of what we had as a sports update for this particular edition of High Sports. We are going to take a break, and we'll come back. We're going to be dissecting very interesting issues that are transpiring in terms of our sports milieu here in Cameroon. And if you're just joining us, you're on to High Sports, and we haven't spoken a lot yet. Just missed a little updates for the various sporting activities that are ongoing. And yes, we have speculations that the team handball for Cameroon has been suspended. And we're having a lot of journalists out there already spreading out this particular rumors. For those who are asking, There is still no confirmation to this, as nothing yet has been made published by the handball committee in terms of this particular suspension. And we are hoping that as the days go by, more verification to this particular issue will be sent, will be publicated by me here on set. And equally, we'll go straight away to look at our first topic of today, which is the Cup of Cameroon. Southwest team as they shine brighter in terms of the Cup of Cameroon Southwest team. And yes, we are going to allow the line open. Use the number on your screen at 653-472-63 for those who want to contribute in their thought through text or through a call. The line will be open for you to give in your own contributions, what you think is the way forward to any of the issues that we are going to be commencing. We are going to be talking on today. And yes, I'm going to start with a household name. It's no other person than Jamie Ateke, who for a very long time has not worn this couch and equally given to you a lot of experiences that he has in terms of reporting sports in and out of Cameroon. You're welcome on today's edition, Jamie Ateke.
Yeah, good evening, Sunita. Good evening to the televiewers.
Oh my God, Arsenal! Let me awaken the died spirit last weekend. But how do you feel today? I was told that because of the anxiety that you were hoping that Arsenal was going to get you the trophy, you had to face a little bit of challenges. Tell us more. Were you really seeing Arsenal getting the trophy this time around?
Well, it was really going to be a difficult one to beat City. City has been proven to be a tough team since Pep came in some 8 years ago. I think it is based on mentality. I think City didn't really play the City brand of football this season as we saw last season. But this time around, it was all about the mental strength of the City team. They know how to do it. They have been doing it for the past 4-5 seasons while they have been at the top. And so for us to beat them was going to take an extra motivation, an extra force, personal motivation from players and mental strength put together. But however, we uploaded the run from Arsenal after that defeat to Aston Villa when they knew it was no longer in their hands and they had to actually put City right up to the last day. Yes, we were hoping that maybe Tottenham or Fulham or West Ham could do us a good job to get maybe a draw against City, but that didn't work as planned. But however, we have ourselves to blame because we look at the game Fulham and West Ham back in December. Those were games which we should have taken 3 points from those games. We should have not been talking about a story of City having the destiny in their hands. And the game against Villa, which we lost, was also taking 6 points from Arsenal. Was really a bitter pill to swallow. So it was all about the mental strength. And City, this season, yes, we never had De Bruyne. They always have somebody who comes in to take the responsibility. And that's what I think has been lacking in the other teams like Arsenal and Liverpool. Last season was Ike Gundogan who came in and brought in that oxygen to City at a time when they were actually facing troubles within the mid-season around January, February. This season was Phil Foden. That's why I was being given the player of the tournament. So, I mean the player of the season, rather. And you see that players come in, Pep knows how to manage those players.
Yeah.
And you understand that from findings and different readings of articles from the British press, you understand that he actually makes sure that his training sessions are synonymous to a football game, which means if you score a hat-trick in your last game and you don't perform well in training, you are shifted away from the team. And so that gave the players that motivation to continuously be at their top. And that's what has helped City this time around. You see that from when Arsenal lost to Villa, City scored 33 goals, while Arsenal managed to score 21. So you could see the motivation, you could see the fight, the mental strength. But however, it is history making for them. I applaud their football, I applaud their performance. But you can't take it away from Arsenal. Yes, this is the first time they came so close in pushing for the title. I think at this point in time, they should now be looking and say, hey, we have to do what Liverpool did by going majority of the season without losing. And I think that should be their primary objective going for next football season, because if you watch the season which Liverpool won the league, I think we lost one game, and that was against Watford, 3-0. So they have to go that way, because the previous season before Liverpool won the league, they had 97 points, City had 98. So at that point, they knew they could beat City in the following season, and they went all the way and only managed a defeat against Watford, which led them to their first title in over 30 years. So that should be the priority for Arsenal Football Club. Now, having players who can click, we should have players where, because most of our players have worn out. I'm talking of guys like Saliba, who played close to 3,000 minutes in the season, played every game of the Premier League, and he actually, that fatigue, we saw how Saka couldn't play the last game. So all that again, you understand that City had players who could replace each other. When De Bruyne was absent, we saw that Foden took the responsibility and everybody rallied behind him. We saw how even Haaland was out. We saw how other players took the responsibility for City, and they had to sustain themselves. But we look at Arsenal, we only have one win or one position on the field where if one person is not there, then another can come in. The case of Martinelli, Trossard, I think that's a position which we don't lack a person who can actually fit in like the other positions. We saw how when Saka is out, it's difficult to replace him. We saw when Odegaard is out, it's difficult to replace him. The defense back four is almost the worst, because we don't have backup for our defense. So that is why we were able to use Saliba, Gabriel throughout the season, which was not really the best for a team that wants to win a league. So we just hope that going to next season, we should get at least 2 players per position that can help to improve on the depth of the team going into next football season.
We're hoping that next season is going to favor Arsenal. If not, they will still have to go to the drawing boards as teams like Man City equally an opportunity for Man United to come closer, as well as Liverpool. But I hope that equally, I know that we are going to be talking about Man City, I'm sure, at the end of this particular edition. But now let's talk about the Cup of Cameroon. It's been a beautiful beginning for the Southwest region. Equally, after 5 representatives, we still have 3 that are still in this particular competition. Unlike last year, where we had just about 1 in terms of this particular level. I want to say congratulations to Islofo Sports Academy, and equally congratulations to Victoria United, who didn't relent her effort despite the fact that she was 4 goals down, came in and scored 4 good goals and went to penalty shootout and still won the game. Congratulations to you. Not forgetting the tricky boys of Sinodef, the only regional league side that is left for the Southwest representative, participating in the Cup of Cameroon after a beautiful game against Renaissance 3 goals to 0. I think Jemateke will have to tell us what he thinks about these 2 representatives, and equally the games against talented Kanong, and equally Isosa, and equally Legend Football Club.
Well, I think normally it's a good performance by the Southwest teams. Yes, we had the luck to have additional spots. Initially it was 4, but we had talented who came in based on the suspensions of UMS of Loom last season, who were suspended, failing to turn out in their match against a regional league side. That gave us, when you have so many representatives at the level of this kind of competitions, you tend to have a chance of having more teams again at the level of, as the competitions grow to tough levels. So Sinodef, I knew they were going to really have a tough game, but their experience at the Cup of Cameroon has really proven that they can do something. Yes, they beat Unisport, Renaissance Gumo rather. That's a team that has been struggling. In fact, as it stands now, the team is on the verge of going on extinction. As it stands, because the president is somehow frustrated. That gave the team from the Southwest region to take advantage of that kind of instability from their opponents to score 5 past a top team from the Elite 2 Championship. So, but kudos to them, because Sinodev, I think, from the Southwest region, aside from the teams who are playing elite football, that's a team that has shown hunger and character for qualifying for Cameroon Cup competitions. Yeah, this is the third time they're qualifying for the last 5 years or so, 2019, 2021, and now they're qualifying to the 16 finals of this competition. And so if you look at our absolutely players for their commitments, especially Borong, is a player who has been consistent in his game. I think his luck has not really been on his side. He should be at the level of the elite level, because this is a player whom I followed since at the time when he was at the Continental Football Academy back in 2018-19 seasons, where he played under Coach Lazar. He was really a top-notch and a top player for that team. Every team he has gone, he has played for in the Southwest region, from Continental to Princess of Boya to Calais University, and now Sinodev. He has been a key player in those clubs, and he has been scoring goals for fun. While at Princess of Boya during the 2020-21 season, I scored, I think, 7 goals for them, and he was the team's top scorer before leaving for Catholic University Sports Academy, where he also scored a couple of goals. So coming to Sinodev, we knew he was going to hit that same height, and that's what he's doing. Scoring a hat-trick in the Cup of Cameroon game is really a good performance. It really shows his mental strength, his ability to take responsibility at that point in time against a top team away from home, out of the region. That's to tell you the mentality of this guy, and the host of others, Ike Manjoku, also comes in to add more experience to that particular group of players. And even the coach, I think the coming back of Benatli back into the team has fully stabilized the team back, though I won't write out the coach who was there last season, Coach Bless, but Obentui seems to have the DNA of this particular team since he's coached this team, I think, for the past maybe 10 years or so. So he's been there with this team, guiding them season after season to see that they succeed in whatever ambition they set for a season. And so this time around in the Cup of Cameroon, and where they are, I think it is based on determination and the collectiveness of the management and the team itself. So kudos to the coach himself and the players for executing what the coach wants. And I'll not be surprised to see this in the left side moving towards even at the level of the quarterfinals of this tournament. It's just all about the mentality, just all about the collectiveness and the determination of the team going forward. Talking about Isosa, yes, Victoria United, we knew they were already qualified into this competition. They never played any preliminaries going into this game. Isosa used the experience, the fact that they had played games, they were just coming from a season, from the playoffs, with that motivation that they have survived relegation. So going against a legend football academy side, it was going to be difficult for the regional league side to actually get a positive result against them. And technically they were playing in Limbe, and so we had a psychological defeat already on the part of Legend Football Academy, because initially the game was programmed at the Modibo Stadium. So taking it to Limbe already defeats the team from Kumba.
But just to cut you short, many persons were already saying that it was going to favor Isosa, and were questioning why the venue was changed, especially when we have as a tradition that the Cup of Cameroon is played on a neutral ground. Now we ask ourselves, what transpired?
Well, normally I would say maybe pitch overuse, just as speculations, and maybe the fact that the other competitions, like we just saw, they just ended the Governors Cup.
Yeah, that was ongoing there.
The pitch was overused during the championship, and so it was necessary to take the game to the Meadow Farm Stadium. So I think those are speculations, but normally at that point, elite side legend, you understand that Isosa who needs
Experiences
more at that level. So Isosa had to grab it 3 goals to nothing for them, and now after beating such a side, they should be expecting a much more tougher position in the 16 finals of this particular competition. So for Victoria United, you know, that champions might, they had to fight back as champions. 4-0, 4 goals down going into the second half. That mental strain it reminds me of the game Canon against Sinodev 3 seasons ago at the Japuma Annex, where Sinodev was leading 2-0, and we saw how Canon came back into the game and won the game on penalty. So that's the same scenario that occurred with Victoria United. So it's all about the mental strength of these big teams. These big teams know how to resist and withstand pressure when it comes to pressure. And you know, these regional league sides are coming to these competitions where some of them have not played competitive games. Yes, good news for Sinodev. They've played some couple of games before the normal game or the initial game, Cup of Cameroon game. But most of these other regional league sides from maybe the Adamawa, the North, the East region, maybe they are still to start their regional championship. So the only games they have played was the
friendlies.
Yeah, friendlies. So that was not really competitive. That's why you see they had to fall short of ideas, though they were leading by 4 goals to nothing in the first half. So all that put together, you see that the mental strength of these bigger teams, I think, at one point in time outshines that of the smaller teams.
Jamie, you're talking about mental strength. Are we going to say the mental strength did not play well in Cotton Sport?
Well, I think for the issue of Cotton Sport, Garua is all about the coach not having that
connection with the players.
Because Cotton Sport, I think if a team has to complain about finances, then we should talk about Egli, we talk about Union, talk about Renaissance Ngumu. Those are teams you complain about. Yes, they lack finances. Leopard Walla not going to their game because of finances. But I think the issue of Cotton Sport is all about the coach not having a click with the players, because that's a team that I expected them to do better going into the Cup of Cameroon game. You understand that after losing the league as vice champions, you expect Cotton Sport to take the Cup of Cameroon seriously. Going into the end of the season, that they can win something, but it shows that they didn't really fancy it, or I don't know, but like I said, the coach is still to have a grip of the dressing room at that point in time. And so again, the fact that the championship is also the Cup of Cameroon is coming at the end or immediately after the end of the championship, it brings some worrying situations, which makes or demotivates clubs and club presidents to engage in such competitions. Yes, people or other clubs might have their monies. If you look at the Sinafof report, you understand that only 4 clubs are able to pay constant salaries. And the constant salaries do not meet up with the standard of federation, but they have been paying players maybe 50,000 consistently. But now, if a club like the case of Avion Academy, the president himself understood that the players themselves, they are out of contract, majority of the players, and so they know that by the end of the season, most of these players should be free agents. Now, when you bring back the Cup of Cameroon, where the season has ended, some players will leave without even telling the president.
The team,
So it breaks down the team, it handicaps the team, and so it makes them, or it discourages them to go for this particular trophy. But if the Cup of Cameroon was between the was run simultaneously with the championship, you understand that most clubs will throw their eggs to one competition and throw maybe the Elite One or the Championship, and then look at the Cup of Cameroon, how they can manage to get to a particular level. That could have been more competitive, and the clubs will know how to budget their finances. Because if you look at it, a team like Foncha Street, a team like Rangers or Bafut, those are teams which came out with their various budgets of the season. 180 million, 130 million. Column, the issue of Column, they came out, I think, 128 or so. Now they have already budgeted all these monies for the regular season, and so the regular season now ends after the playoffs, and so by that the monies must have been exhausted. Now where did they get monies to continue with the Cup of Cameroon? Those are the issues that makes it difficult for top clubs to really engage in this competition, and so he has to really change. Like I said, I mentioned this thing when the President Bureau of the Federation came in, that if they want to equate their calendar, they should understand that the Cup of Cameroon is a more political event which the government has to make a say before it is coming to a conclusion. Now, I recommended that the Federation should create a different tournament aside from the Cup of Cameroon, like what you have the League Cup in England, whereby clubs organize, the Federation organizes competition in line with work simultaneously with the league, so that this competition will serve as a way for a team to qualify for the Comfort Cup. By that way, the Federation knows quite fully well that the CAF listens to them, and whatever you present as your representative is what they take. So make a competition that if at all the league is ending, maybe the league ended in April 30th, we should at this point in time having the final, or maybe the League Cup, whatever, the FECAFU Cup or whatever, imaginary name, this weekend, so that by the time we are going to the next season, we know that by the end of June, we are having two representatives, one at the Cup of Cameroon and one at the Comfort Cup and Champions League. That was my proposal, because at the end of the day, these clubs will know that if they are playing this competition, what is their fate of qualification for Africa? They will start waiting for next year, because this year is full, will go automatically, because we are not nowhere near by the end of June to produce the final, because the final of the Cup of Cameroon will play after June.
Very true.
By orders from above.
Very true.
So all that, it was to bring a creative idea from the Federation to create a different tournament, whereby clubs will play these tournaments, and it will act as a new way for clubs to qualify for the Comfort Cup.
But now it might be a good idea, but looking at I really don't want to say our mentality, but the way we do our things here, many of these clubs will complain about expenses, especially when you have to play the two competitions simultaneously. They will talk about expenses. Now, if they have to start talking about expenses, is the FA going to bring in another part of subventions to support that particular league? I think that there is going to be a lot of questions surrounding this other league. Though it's a good idea, we're just hoping and praying that.
It's for the FA now to. This is a product which you sell to sponsors. It's a product. The new competition is a product where the FA has to seek now for main sponsors coming into
before Jamie, just to cut you short, before sponsors come in, these clubs that you want them to participate in, you have to communicate to them, right? Now, and something like a voting has to be done. So what the FA has to do is convincing these clubs that this is what we want out of this particular competition. And if it's fruitful to them, because it is just like the issue of the main sponsor, which is what is big, till date nobody knows the clause of that particular thing. Now, if these clubs are being told that if we do this, this is what is going to come out, or this is the result we want to achieve, and this is what the club too might benefit, I think that maybe it will be accepted.
You are saying that the clubs, but now when you look at the clubs themselves, they don't understand. I think the clubs themselves do not even understand their role as clubs. Now, in a setup of this league, the elite of the Cameroon Football League, these clubs are shareholders, are supposed to be shareholders. Now, we talk of shareholders of business, which means I come in, I put my own share.
Very true.
Whatever I say has a say.
Definitely.
But these clubs do not even understand that power. You understand?
Okay.
So if the clubs come out today and say, if the federation come out today and say we are launching a new competition, the clubs first will ask, are these sponsors, how will the commission be run? How are they going to get benefits from the competition? What are the criteria?
Clauses and every other
all the things. Will the main sponsors from the elite football sponsor this competition? And what is our own share? Because we'll still be wearing the MTN or the mobile telecom for basic purposes, for the mobile telecommunication company or the betting company. We'll still be wearing all the tissue manufacturer company. We'll still be wearing all that has to be put on the table. But now, since the clubs themselves are not even united, it becomes so difficult. The clubs instead they react sporadically. The other day was the president of FOVAZO sending a message. The last time was the Association of Elite Clubs, the new club association, which was banned before the start of the season, sending another one. So they are not united as a front to face their challenges. And that again puts them on a disadvantage. Reasons why they will find themselves being discouraged to play such competitions like the Cup of Cameroon, because they did not ask before the start of the championship. Because let's go a little bit far to what the Premier League is doing. The AGM is coming in June, and that will determine the fixtures of next football season.
Very correct.
Now there are already 19 stakeholders already in the Premier League. There is left for one, either Leeds or Norwich or so, who is coming to join to make 20 ahead of the next football season. Now there are two things that the AGM has to vote. You have the issue of the VAR,
yes,
and you have the profit and sustainability issue,
teams,
which led to Everton's deduction of 10 points and Nottingham Forest. Now this thing has to be put on the table, whether it's going to be amended or not. Those are stakeholders who understand what it takes to run a championship. But in the case of Cameroon,
it's a yes or a no.
You can't come in if you are saying that the club should be independent, and clubs like Dynamo, Isosa will deny their main sponsors. Now, if a sponsor comes in to say he's giving me, and sponsorship deals are one of the greatest source sponsors
for any football team.
For any football, in a sports business, that's the greatest or the biggest source of revenue. Now, when you say I should put
the main
sponsors in my front shed and the other one behind, you give me 45 million. What if another sponsor
comes in with something greater than that?
Those are where now the federation or the clubs are also failing, because they are not taking a stand on how to tell the federation that, hey,
this is what we want.
Men, we are stakeholders. If we are not part of this, your league will not run. So we have to decide the pace of how this league is supposed to be run. That is why it takes one club to bring up the motion in the General Assembly, like what Wolverhampton Wanderers did in England. They were the one who brought the motion that the VAR will be scrapped off, and that we
many other teams too have adopted.
So that's how football is run. It's a business, but us here in our context, it's very difficult to pinpoint all those things. So we have to sit as clubs, as bodies, as shareholders of that organization, because the organization here is the elite one or elite two. That's the organization, and these various stakeholders have to look themselves and ask themselves, what do we want? What are we envisioning for the next football season? How are because one thing they fail to understand is that they don't understand the meaning of subvention money and even sponsorship money. They see sponsorship money as a gift. No, for Fecafoot, it's not a beg. They're not begging.
No, they're not begging.
You don't
it's
beg.
Like support.
The sponsorship money is a right of the club
to get
it. There is no negotiation. if you are telling me that I should put sponsorship money on my phone shirt,
then I
you
should
have
have
to
the
tell me
money.
the money has to come even before the championship starts. So
But
it's
now,
non-negotiable. Even what comes from the government as subvention is even non-negotiable. So the clubs don't even understand that statement. So they are making to them as if the federation now is making to them as if they are begging. Whereas it's not supposed to be like that.
But I think that in as much as this issue of subventions, it's bringing a lot of wahala, I think it has equally helped the main stakeholders of these teams, which are the players. I should not call them stakeholders, but they are stakeholders because they are the main actors in terms of every team. Imagine, in the yesteryears, the issue of subventions were really not this loud. It's just of now that many persons are talking about clubs saying they are not receiving subventions. They were receiving, but these players who given their sweat were not actually getting paid, which is their salary. And I think there are many players now that can say that they are experiencing a lot of difference. At least there should be a different. If, for instance, if they were receiving the normal 2,000 we normally used to hear for training bonuses, I'm sure it must have moved on to 5. Now the clauses now in terms of if you want to benefit from this subvention, we should be able to see your pay list that you are actually paying your players. Now, if your club cannot present this to the federation, which the federation, I'm sure, thinking that since they want to better the lives of these players, they should be able to put in some rules and regulations, which has now hindered some of these clubs. Many persons have seen what was actually going on in some of these clubs in terms of paying the salaries of these players. So I think that the issue of a subvention may be, like we are all praying that as a new season it's coming up, these club presidents, the club themselves should be under one canopy. They should have one voice.
The clubs, the sponsorship money is decided by even the clubs, not even the league.
That's another point.
Yes, because they are the ones putting on the sponsorship. So they are the ones who tell the federation, they tell these people that this money is too small.
Remember so that it's a federation that is like the face of that sponsorship deal.
That's when now the issue now of stakeholders comes into play, because we have a business and everybody can contribute something. People are seen as shareholders. They are the ones who decide how much
they want.
The sponsors, not the federation. The federation is just there to facilitate. But the main people who are to decide whatever comes out from those, because they are the ones putting it for an entire season, and so they must decide what comes out, and it's non-negotiable.
I'm sure it's a Canon with Broly, or is it Bamboo Tools that has Broly as their main Canon who have their main sponsor Broly. We have seen them put on the Broly, their jersey with Broly. That's to tell you that there were some mago that went behind the scene and cannot still maintain their main sponsor. Like you earlier said, I cannot have somebody that is giving me more than 45 million and you want me to take your deal. We are always saying that there should be an understanding in terms of the next football season, and equally a smooth run. That's the most important. Equally, this because sometimes we hear of president association, this one is coming on with the own resolution, another president association is coming out. Which association finally are we going to hear from? I think that there are a lot of lapses that things have to be corrected as the next season approaches. And I think that we have beckoned on this particular issue of the Cup of Cameroon, the challenges, and equally to tell you that a few minutes ago, Fecafoot has equally released, we're talking about the issues of stadiums not being open during the days of play, and this is what has caused some of these games to be postponed. Mind you that by now we should be through with the 32 rounds, but we still find ourselves playing it because of the issue of clubs going to play games and those in charge of the stadium are saying that it's closed.
And this is another issue again, because in sports management or sports administration, there's what we call that. I think there are 3 things involved. You have I think sports, you have politics, you have diplomacy. Those are the 3 things involved when it comes to sports administration. Now, a sports administration, yes, like you said, like we are saying, there are social institutions. Where within a social system, you have social institutions, under social institutions, you have smaller institutions. Now, this the federation is a social institution which takes instruction from a more bigger social institution like the Ministry of Sports. So at this point, the Ministry of Sports as an institution is representing the government in that particular discipline. Now, we have football stadiums.
Very true.
Which are run by the state, not built by the federation.
Very correct.
But the federation helps
to manage.
The Ministry of Sports assists the federation
to get this
to develop football. In order to develop football, has to reach to this federation. That's when now you see the diplomatic
issue
part coming in. Now the political side now comes in when you know quite fully well that you are a subordinate to another social institution, but you must be able to play in such a way that you ensure in terms of elections and so forth, how you promise development growth and so forth. That's the politics when you play it. Now the sports now is the actions, player development, infrastructure. That's now the sport. So where the federation is failing now is the diplomatic aspect. The diplomatic aspect now, you understand that there is a body set up by the government, which is a social institution, that has actually put a body to take care of these stadiums. Now there are gate takings. Gate taking is one of the main source of revenue for sports institutions like clubs or football clubs or even a country. Now the federation has to understand all this, that if we are playing diplomacy, a stadium like maybe the let's take for instance the Unisport Oncam Stadium, which has close to 4,000 or 3,000 capacity and gets a revenue of 2 million, you have to make sure that a diplomatic sharing of the cake that comes out from that stadium as revenue goes to the various quotas, the clubs, the federation, and the government, which is the body in charge in terms of the maintenance of stadia. Now, once this is not done, it becomes difficult for you now to operate the other aspects of sports administration, the sport itself, which is the player development, and even at the level of the politics, because if you don't play the diplomatic well, the clubs who are the ones to vote you will not vote you because they don't see their own benefit from gate taking. So that's how it affects all those indicators. So the federation has to understand all this. You must give the share. You must give honor to who honor is due. The government has provided a diplomatic point to say, okay, these stadiums are meant for the growth of football, and so you have to use it. But whatever comes out from it, make sure you give part. The UNES has given the amount range, I think 150,000 to maybe $1 million. At that point, you know that if you give me, you still get takings. Now you go now on the table and say, okay, you have said I should pay 150 to 1 million. But we have to understand that the clubs too also have to gain something. So if we receive this amount, this is your percentage, this is my percentage, and this is the club percentage. That's diplomacy. That's relation.
But we can conclude. We can conclude to that if the federation has been doing it or not. So we cannot put a full stop to this particular allegation, or let me say contribution you are definitely making. You're correct, but we can't say that maybe the federation is doing it, or maybe the federation is not doing it. Jamie Atike, not to reawaken some other controversies in that particular aspect. I think we should just have to leave it like that. But as of now, we still can conclude to this particular issue if the federation has been carrying out that duty or not. But like I earlier told you a few minutes ago, the federation has, one can say, abandoned stadiums under MINSEP to be able to continue the smooth run of the Cup of Cameroon, where the following stadiums are going to be used now for the Cup of Cameroon. It is the technical center there in Bankomo, and equally the center in Ozwa. Meanwhile, in Melon, the municipal stadium in Melon will be used, and equally the municipal stadium in Betwa. So these are the 4 stadiums that are going to be used to continue the Cup of Cameroon. I think it goes a long way equally to Let me talk about the aspect in terms of tip to reduce the expensive. We saw what happened. That was on Sunday, where somebody like Sabri Beti has to travel from the west, get into Yaoundé and cannot play because the stadium are all closed, making the team to stay another day in the central region. And I think that this might go a long way to solve the issue. What do you think, Jimatik here?
Yeah, it's some of the issue, but it reduces the football growth. The exposure, the marketing aspect from the championship, playing to those stadiums are not in good quality.
No, like, but have you been to the Melong Municipal Stadium? It's good.
I mean, in terms of professional setting, playing the Cup of Cameroon in such a stadium in the 21st century, those are things. Marketing is all about you projecting your.
Why don't you look at it in the aspect where Fikafudi Kwale is just struggling to avoid some of the hurdles that are already happening?
Because at this point, the federation needs to understand that you need diplomacy to handle such things.
So you are saying that the federation is not using diplomacy?
Well, they might be using it, but it's not good enough.
It's not good enough.
Because at this point in time, taking the Cup of Cameroon to those municipal stadiums, the Melong Municipal Stadium and so forth, the Fekafut Technical Center, I think that's not what we really expected, especially from the fans. The image of the nation, how is it built? What are we going to tell to the world playing the Cup of Cameroon games at that in those stadiums? I'm not saying that the stadiums are bad, but we needed to have that feeling like what we had in the Elite One, where we saw those beautiful stadiums. It's really unfortunate, but like I said, those three key things I mentioned is what is needed in sports administration. If you don't have those policies, that's why you see most sports organizations, they play that carefully. It's not something that is hidden. They play it. We saw how Ahmad congratulated Nana Akufo when he was voted chairman of ECOWAS. Those are things that it must come at one point in time. You must play it, because the government is key, is the main social institution in any given country. And so every other social institution within that country pays allegiance to the government. They are what we call national laws. And so national laws have to be guided by such situations. So the federation might be playing that role, but they still have to do more. Because if you see the grievances by the body in charge of those stadiums during the playoffs, we saw how the matches could not take place on time. Those are issues where if we had a vibrant sponsor like a TV right, the federation should have been, or the league body should be taken to court, and so we have huge sanction and financial implication. So those are things which, if we are to go professional, we need to look at all those different indicators.
So you're telling us that we still have a lot of work.
There is still a lot of work to be done.
Thank you very much. And we're hoping that that a lot of work that we still have to do, we are going to make sure that even if we can't completely do all, but we should do the needful. And that is it in terms of the Cup of Cameroon that has been ongoing since the 15th of May right up to this moment, where once more again say congratulations to the Southwest side. Victoria United, Isosa and Sinodep that continues to fly the flag of the Southwest region in this particular competition. And we say a sad one to PWG of Bamenda, Bafba United, Fanta Street, and equally a host of others who have not been able, Cotton Sport equally, to cross through the rounds of 16. And away from the Cup of Cameroon, let's talk about the Burara that is happening between Minsep and Fekafut. And we ask ourselves, will it end anytime soon, especially when we have a double confrontation coming up in the month of June? Jemiatike, I come back to you. Are you seeing any end, any time coming in terms of this Minsep and Africa Football that has been ongoing for more than a month now?
Well, I think again this comes again to that level of what I was saying, just a cue into this issue. I think it's really something of it's disheartening to find a situation where we find ourselves. We've never find ourselves in this particular situation where FECAFOOT hits, Ministry of Sports hits, and we also we recently saw the Conciliation and Arbitration Chamber also retaliating. We've never seen it. I think from my different research and football, follow our sports reporting, I've never seen this situation which we find ourselves. But it's if you look at it critically, it is, I will say it clear, it is something of two gentlemen that is involved. It's not all about the social institutions that are involved. I'm talking about FECAFOOT and MINSEP. These are the two social institutions that are involved. By normal or by national laws, FECAFOOT has to submit to the Ministry of Sport. But when we look at the two gentlemen who are in the forefront, one hand we have Professor Narcis Molekombi, the other hand we have Samuel Eto'o. It never started at this point. Remember that there is a program which we were here, we talked about.
Yeah.
This thing started, not even last year, when Rigobert Sambana was appointed.
Yeah.
It started at the level at the 2019. That is when all this egoistic tendency started between these two gentlemen. At the time when Mumunja was president, there were reports that Eto'o was the one controlling, doing some kind of dirty job behind where that's what happened at then. But when there was that report that came out that the minister should not see the players of the Lions, he was also angry in his own anger. That's why after the AFCON, he came out and said clearly, Seedorf and Kluivert were fired. And everyone accepted the fate. In 2022, the minister, the same scenario occurred. The minister went to the state media and said it is need for Chicha to be given some time because he gave some pass mark that he should be given another contract. February 28th, Eto'o passed. I mean, the federation, not using Eto'o because but normally we know that two personalities are fighting, but
they are talking about the federation.
The federation now went behind using the 2015 convention, going to the presidency, and the presidency issued a decree appointing Rigobert Sambana, thereby forcing the minister to endorse.
That's the way you put it.
The minister endorsed and someone was appointed. Nobody made any issue of the presidency interfered in the affairs of FECAFOOT. The same thing now happened where we had a disappointing performance at the AFCON. The president said, I instruct the sports ministry to correct those mistakes. The minister said, okay, I too will go and do the same thing which Eto'o did, that was the federation did. You see how the thing is, you see narration.
But the bottom line question now is, these two parties, we are asking ourselves, looking at what is at stake, do we think that it is going to come to an end? And equally for those who are calling, please, you can call back. Sorry for not picking your calls. Call back and using the number on your screen to give in your contributions in respect to this topic of discussion. FECAFOOT MINSEP Rora, do you think that it is coming to an end, especially when we have a double confrontation ahead of us? Back to you, Ojimetike.
Yeah, so you see, that is it. That's the trend. That's the fight. So now that the minister too has also gone to the presidency, that's why each time the minister comes in with a communique, they say upon her instructions.
To me, I understand that high instruction is referring back to the 11th of February, what the president said. No, come on, let's be realistic. Fine. Ines, I'm happy you brought back the issue of Sambana, which many Cameroonians were not aware of, that was what actually transpired. Yes, it might have happened that way, or it happened that way. Now, MINSEP too wanting to play the same game. Forgot that, let's say FECAFOOT, it's a social entity like you earlier said, who is grounded into those laws. And now they are using those laws equally to fight back MINSEP.
Yeah, that's where now the problem of that convention.
Which CAF is asking them to go back to it.
No, FIFA rather. That was a diplomatic statement from FIFA because the federation itself miscalculated that FIFA will threaten the government to suspend Cameroon. But whereas
you cannot intervene when there's a convention.
FIFA only said that we acknowledge the convention.
Correct.
Go back and do the
needful.
dialogue, the needful and so forth, and avoid situations whereby extreme decisions will come up. Apply whatever you want to apply, but make sure that it doesn't go against. But still stood that Fecafoot has the bragging rights of appointing coaches. Now when we look at that particular law, it says that two of them can present
coaches.
But if one fails, the other one can.
Now, I'm happy you made that statement. Did Fecafoot fail? Okay, let me start with MINSEP, because they were working strictly on high instructions from the head of state. Yes, MINSEP suggested, in fact, they didn't suggest, they appointed their own coach without coming to a consensus with the federation. In as much as the federation had presented to them their own coaches that they thought were suitable for that position, but MINSEP says it is more than what we can offer. Understandable. Though we had another controversial report saying that Reve had never said anything concerning the amount. Now, MINSEP goes ahead to appoint those we all have seen today, without the consent or having an understanding with the FA of the country. Is that what the clause is saying? Is that what the convention says? That's why I want us to understand that when Fecafoot is actually bringing up this, when they want to react towards any communique, towards any press release from the federation, they have laws backing themselves, which many persons will see it to be right.
Yeah, yes, Fecafoot has the right to appoint the coach, but you need to understand that they to share responsibility.
Very correct. Very
one
correct.
has the financial responsibility, the other has the technical responsibility.
You're correct.
Now, the problem now is the interpretation of that particular law.
The convention.
Because when you say the two of them have the right to present coaches or to appoint coaches, the federation has the right to propose.
Why the FA?
And then the FA looks
do their background check.
It does based on the financial issues. If the federation is unable, the minister now present. That's what been happening.
Yeah.
We saw how Sidoff and
came in.
Sidoff and they came in through the minister. We saw how Saul went back to the hotel room and signed a contract with the minister. So those are the things those are the interpretation of the law which
let me just cut it short. We have it at this reaction that says that good evening to you in the studio watching from Aditi South. To me, at the national level or regional level, football is gaining grounds, and it is a big win for the country, not only for the Southwest region. I'm sure that's in respect of the Cup of Cameroon. And we pray that politics do not also jeopardize the Southwest region. Another question mark to this one. And she goes on to say that after Fecafoot accepted Mark Buis and he had a meeting with his executive, I think Mark Buis should, in return, humble himself to have a one-on-one with President Samuel Eto'o, who is still at the head of the field he manages. In a strange land, humility can solve the problem, though the current coach is trying not to take side. And she goes on to say nothing to say. I really have not. Okay, that's the other side of it. I really have nothing to say other than this. So thank you very much. And this is Linda Gali watching us from Dirty South. Thank you very much, Linda Gali, who is of the point that Mark Buis, who is caught in the web of all this between Fecafoot and MINSEP, should humble himself. Now, Jemateke, let me now go to you because I'm equally confused. Him being in the middle of all this, if he has to go to MINSEP, maybe he will be thinking that the person who is paying me might not pay me because of the ongoing controversies. If I have to go closer to Fecafoot, who after so many weeks has finally accepted me as the head coach, and what happens to my payment? What do you think about Mark Buis' situation at the moment?
Well, I think
though Linda Gali says that he should be humble.
No, humble how? There is nothing like humble. He has just been caught in a crossroad where two entities are fighting.
Very true.
over bragging rights, who has the right to appoint himself. So I think this point then he just need to lie low and okay, I say I'm sure he has signed his contract. He's talking out based on his contract. If they want him to work, then he's going to work. If they don't want him to work, then they tell him that he's not going to work, then he goes. So there's no need to go and sit and say you want to humble somebody told or whatever. No. He's just there. He's waiting. If they want him to work, he will work. If they don't want him to work, then that's it.
Okay, we have a take on this other reaction that says that good evening to you in the studio. Says Sonita and Jimmy. To me, better song for men than this drama ongoing between FECAFOOT and the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education. This is Everdeen from Bamenda. Thank you very much for contributing.
Comes back to the system in place. Yes, I found the federation for not being diplomatic, not being sport or whatever. But now, the Ministry of Sports also has some problems because if the federation too was visionary, they should be able to be a business-oriented entity whereby they don't depend on government for subvention. Now, the Ministry of Sport is failing. Why? Because the way the system is calculated, it has made the different sporting entities, federations, to be vulnerable financially to the main social institution, which is the Ministry of Sports. Now, in the UK, what the UK does is that they give you subvention based on your output of a particular federation, or they call it association. Now, when you, because they have what they call I think the sports, the Council for Olympic and Paralympic Committee, which is in charge of athlete development, awarding grants, and giving awards to sporting associations in England, football inclusive. This is to enable them, the different institutions, to come up with different projects on how they can develop their various sporting disciplines that they can push them to competitions and win medals for the nation. That's why you see most of these nations have 90 medals won in Olympic Games. It's not because they got up one money, because their Ministry of Sports have prepared a project for each sports discipline to be independent of its own and get their own sponsors and how they can train their athletes, what they can do for their athletes to be productive, and get their own technical means or technical members and financial issues. That is what is being done in other countries. But in Cameroon, the scenario is different, and that is why we have this clash of interest. But had it been the Ministry of Sports say, okay, we are not going to pay your coach again. Definitely. But we are going to give you subvention after 4 years.
Correct.
Inside 4 years, you have different competitions. You have the league, where you should expect that Coton Sport should win the Champions League, or a team for Cameroon should win the Champions League or the Conference Cup within 4 years. And the Cameroon team should win the AFCON within 4 years.
Those are regulations you're putting.
Those are recommendations that you put for the Ministry of Sports. That's why I blame them.
Okay.
Because if these things had been put in place, we should not have something like the 2015 convention, whatever.
Very correct.
We should have a situation whereby FECAFOOT has the authority to appoint whosoever you want to appoint and pay whatever, like what is being done in the English FA. You pay your coach and you sack your coach at any time. So at this point, the Ministry of Sports have to
sit down,
re-strategize the way they manage sporting institutions in the country. They have to start going that way to ensure that these sporting institutions or these different sporting federations can come out with source of revenue, source of income that they can use to sustain themselves. By they can do this when you have money. You can do anything with yourself.
Correct.
But now with the federation not having money, they are just fighting now based on egoism. They are not looking at the general interest. But if the ministry
Jamie, just to call, are you saying that the federation it's not having the interest of the national team at heart?
Well, no, they might prove to her. That's why I said it is two people fighting indirectly. It is not the Federation against the Ministry of Sport. It is two people fighting. Mole Kombi and Samuel Eto'o. We should stay that clear because it was the two institutions. You understand that they would have come to a compromise. But when you have two gentlemen who are stronger than those institutions, it becomes a worrisome situation. So at this point, we need a total overhaul of our management system in this country to be able to get to where we are. If the Federation wants to boycott, that's why FIFA said go back and try to apply whatever you want to apply, but make sure you revise it.
The convention.
So that gives an opportunity for the Federation to revise this issue, which they have not even said to revise it.
How would they see when they are
because if you sit and revise it, the Federation will say, okay, I will no longer, the Ministry of Sport will say, okay, I will no longer.
I've withdrawn my case. The coach.
Now the Federation takes responsibility and say, okay, I'll now develop tournaments, see how I can get for sponsorships,
to manage the whole thing.
So that I pay my coaches, which one, if you mess up,
I sack you.
That's what needs to be done. But as it stands now, nobody wants to.
Definitely, let me take on these other contributions. This is Gilbert from Kumba, and he says that laws are not respected, just personal interest between the two parties. Thank you very much, Gilbert, all the way from Kumba. And equally, Tazo Kendrick Morgan from Bunduma watching us. He says that they think this sweet me bad. If them like, may the first ban we. Oh, this is not where we want to get to, Jimmy Teke. Though we are already against time, and many persons already are anticipating for a ban, so that to them they believe that a ban can equally bring the two institutions to one table. Do you think that's going to be the case?
Well, if you say ban, if a ban comes in, then the federation is dissolved. That's the disadvantage. And when the federation is dissolved, the minister remains. And so the minister appoints now different people now at the level of the federation. So who loses? So it is an implication that goes to the bureau, the future of the national team, our football.
But just to ask you, I'm sure those watching us will be asking themselves, what do you mean the federation will be banned if we cannot actually play or pay or do our things on time to be able to give it at least?
If a ban is coming, if a ban comes out of football, it means the federation cannot operate again.
We have other leagues that we can be operating.
Yeah, but that will be based now on the minister, because now the minister now or the government now will say, okay, since you don't have link with FIFA anymore, we have now the right
to operate within
to restructure the sporting, which is football, because it's one of our jewelries we use for it's one of the religions in Cameroon. So they will be the ones now to take charge.
No, if FIFA has to ban us in terms of the world, I want us to be specific. Remember, we're here for the World Cup qualifier.
That's why I said that if FIFA comes with a slash hammer, we will not play the FIFA World Cup qualifiers now.
No, we have the African Cup of Nations too.
FIFA might also come in with their own.
And we are only going
Look at the case of Kenya.
That's what I'm saying. We are only going to see.
So we have to be very careful.
What is going to transpire, and that's why we are asking ourselves that who can only solve this issue that is ongoing between these two institutions. Last week, some person said the only person that can give a stop to this is the head of state. Will you buy that idea? Remember, he was the initiator of all this. And maybe, like how many persons are anticipating, he can indeed be the number one personality to say, okay, I'm calling on you both parties to have an understanding and make results happen within the next 24 hours. That, do you see him as a lone person to be able to solve this?
Yeah, he can. He can. He are calling the two gentlemen.
The two associations.
At the level of the presidency, or he can start even from the level of the prime minister, not even getting to the presidency. But it looks like even the prime minister might not be able, but the presidency might just have to call the two gentlemen and exchange and do the right thing to ensure that whoever Urban Priest has been appointed it should go like it should go like that, and they should now after that they should revise whatever they have to revise, because as it stands now we are barely 2 weeks
Definitely.
to that particular game. So it's really
You know, we have been talking about Fecafoot Minsep. We haven't even considered these players that were even pre-selected. What state are they in right now? What are they thinking? Remember, we already have our opponent, Angola, who has already published her own list. That means that what? The mentality of those players are already getting structured. What happens to us? Yes, we know that some of these players are already anticipating that they are going to make it to the finalists. But in this mixed atmosphere, how are they going to give us good result? Maybe you have a better opinion to what these players will be thinking of in their various corners.
Well, that's one thing, because I fear that even if FIFA doesn't give us a ban, we might not even qualify for the World Cup, because we should not be expecting positive results from those 2 games if we find ourselves in this situation. Remember that we're telling ourselves that what makes the results on the pitch is what happened on the pitch.
Definitely.
And once the players are not in that stable
psychology,
nature, we should be finding a way where McBreeze might be publishing a list of a final list of players, and we might have an issue whereby, because they're reporting that the federation is going to appoint an interim team that will take us through this particular process. But now, if they happen to appoint that interim team, and then McBreeze now is still recognized as a coach based on the minister's
order,
and comes out with a final list, then the players who have been called by the interim Fecafoot. So we might find ourselves,
it's a complex situation,
having a canon of their own, or a canon of the coming with 2 different teams at the level of League One. So those are things which we are not looking at the image we are selling.
Definitely.
To Africa and the world. And I think FIFA has been lenient to Cameroon. You know, if it were Kenya
or any other,
then those countries should have been
hit it hard.
Because FIFA understands what Cameroon brings to football.
Yeah.
They understand what Cameroon has done. And so that's why the Kenya issue, FIFA was quick
in reacting
to retaliate and gave Kenya that ban. They couldn't play the AFCON qualifiers, and they couldn't even play the World Cup qualifiers. So I think if we look ourselves, and at this point FIFA is still reserving the sledgehammer, then we should
maximize what we have.
Thank God the senior reporter Kachi really said the ceasefire is needed. It's true, it's really needed. Because if FIFA is still waiting, still holding his sledgehammer and reserving it, then it's high time that we have to take ourselves. We have to do that. We have to know the type of country we are. Definitely. When it comes to football.
Definitely.
And the earlier the people understand, or those 2 entities understand how fast is Cameroon in football, they should be able to sit and talk.
Let me take on this other contribution. This is Azencha Pavalevi, who says good evening to you both in the studio. He says that the battle is going to continue and continue. If the 2 parties like, they should not even come to a comprehension. All is that Cameroon moves forward, but not now in the aspect of football. That's our worry in terms of that particular one. And yes, we take on to these other contributions. We say that Fecafoot has compromised a little, I think. I think Minsep should compromise as well. At the end, our team will suffer. Eto'o has used his personality to revive our game. I doubt if he will win the next election. I humbly suggest that Tungu Mpel and David Paku should be there as interim while the latter fight is going. It's ongoing. Ronald watching from Moyoka. Thank you very much.
That is a kind of interest, because look at the team put in place by McBreeze from the Ministry of Sport perspective. Those are people who were sacked.
That's the technical team.
So that's why I tell you that is
a lot of politics is inside.
It's 2 gentlemen who are fighting, not the federation and the ministry. It's just these 2 gentlemen, because they know the implications of the appointment. That's why you see, if you look at that's why the federation had to remove all of those assistants, because those were the same assistants who were sacked under the previous
federation.
So all that again is something which has really, when I saw it, I knew something was cooking. When I saw
very true.
The team of Magbris under the ministry, I look at it and I say, no,
something is ongoing
for a fight, because you cannot bring somebody who was sacked, and normally they must have conflicts. No, they must not have. They must eyeball, and they bring the same person for the federation to endorse. It doesn't work. So I think the ministry here now needs to understand that you don't bring such people back. Once you have been sacked, you have been sacked.
Definitely.
So better you bring a neutral person. I think they bought
a neutral
other people
who
are
all
not
those
related
people,
to the Konsawo
regime. Yeah.
I think the federation should have considered.
Definitely.
But they brought
and I think this is what many persons are not talking about. The whole ball game started.
That's why I said it now. I said it that time. I said, where you bring those people?
There's going to be a lot of fire.
So that's where the ministry also. That's why I say that it is not a ministry. It is the person who is there, who is doing the fighting.
And Jamie has the case voice.
Yeah, by voice. I say Jamie has the before, but it's the person, because you cannot bring somebody
that has been sacked. It's like it. Let's take it to a practical scenario. Like I asked Boris the last time, a very practical situation. If the shareholders of an organization discover that profit is no longer maximized, but rather the company is working on a deficit, and tells the manager or the director of that particular organization that something has to be done, and the director comes out of the blues to say, okay, because we are no longer making profit, I am sacking all the present employees to recruit new employees. Now, he goes back to get those other old employees that were once sacked because of the same reason, which is what productivity, which is what MINSEP has done. Now, do you expect those who were sacked before to come and give you a good result, knowing that conflict of interest was already into it?
Yeah, because the conflict of interest was already into it. So that's where now you see that, and they brought these people. We know that they brought these people to assist
Magbris, yeah.
But now they will hear instructions from the person who appointed them.
Oh.
Now the federation now will stand as an isolated pole, where they will not have, because they are the ones
exercise their own power.
They are the ones who deal with the technical aspect of the appointment. So all that again is, I think at this point in time, if the ministry has to lie to for one reason, because of the people they appointed, those people appointed have been laid off 2 years ago, so they should not be near at this level.
This is Coach Eno Joshua. For those who know Istanbul, he says that the Fecafoot has taken one step back by accepting Magbris. I think that MINSEP equally and his boss should equally take one step back. Maybe it will go a long way to solve the ongoing brouhaha.
Yeah, that is it. They have to really accept what the federation has given to Magbris, because the federation now understands that yes, they are not the one paying
the coach.
The coach, they can't actually reject him.
That, yeah.
Because if you reject him,
that means you have to be able to pay.
So at this point in time, the ministry now also has to accept that okay, the federation has given the assistants, let it be that way, and let them go and see how they can play. So that to me should be the case, because if the federation should also understand that the ministry should understand that what the federation gave to FIFA is theirs.
Correct.
And so Ole Fecafoot has access to their, like what the senior reporter explained this afternoon.
But I'm sorry, but it's questionable. And what we all know the senior reporter said. It's questionable in terms of those who, yes, I have that account, which means that you can definitely alternate your information in it. But are we talking of the welfare of the country, that anything that goes within our national team, everything is updated there? The biggest question is, had it been there was a document to show that indeed our website, which is in the FIFA web, it's been controlled by the FA or the FIFA itself. I think it would have given more morale to many Cameroonians out there who think that there is a lot of pride in bringing down and putting up his name as the head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. Maybe that document will be a good solution to this issue, because now it looks like when that happens, it looks like FIFA, maybe it's in the sight of the FA.
No, it's not in the sight of the FA.
Because that's what many persons are thinking.
No, FIFA is a football organization, just like.
And remember that FIFA equally works following what it works with the FA and not the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education.
I mind you that FIFA is a football organization. They communicate on
with
football
the
growth, development, sports infrastructure, and other things.
Yeah.
Both for diplomacy and politics.
Correct.
They work with government. But now, in terms of sports and development, they look at FECAFOOT, what they are doing in terms of their national teams, in terms of their leagues, and so forth. So, what the Ministry of Sport is failing to understand is that their appointments are never recognized.
Correct.
Yes, they can appoint, but they must be endorsed by the federation. But now, if the federation has not endorsed, they should understand that, okay, they have to talk to the federation. And so that is where they have to understand. So if you came now with your own list of appointments of assistant coaches, and they didn't appear in the FIFA or accepted by FIFA, and then FIFA accepts the one of the federation, you need to understand that even the FIFA communicate, FIFA said it clear that though you want to apply whatever you want to apply, whether it's 2015 convention, you apply, but you have to understand that the appointment of coaches or whatever in the national team is the sole right of the federation.
Correct.
So FIFA works with the federation. They have their zero tolerance policy that they don't work with government. But after they work with government diplomatically, that's why I mentioned those three things in sports administration. You have that politics, sports, and diplomacy. Now they know how to work with diplomacy. They come with diplomacy when a country has a hosting right or a bragging right to host a competition or a football competition. That's why FIFA now comes in with diplomacy of the stadium building and so forth, coming with government, supporting governments to build stadiums. That's the diplomatic aspect. But once it comes to areas of the leagues, the national teams, FIFA doesn't communicate with government at that point in time. So you will see that FIFA communicates more on clinical basis with the federation and looks at the political aspects and look at the government. So at this point, this is what concerns the national team. Yes, we have our national laws.
Yeah.
The national laws is what we call the 2015 convention. But now there is what binds the discipline. That's the FIFA rule or FIFA ethics, code of ethics, which says that the federations are in charge of the appointments of members of leagues, members of national teams, and so forth. Whatever happens, the federation must endorse.
Correct.
For FIFA to approve. So at this point, the Ministry of Sports have to understand all those things. That's why I said the Ministry too also have to play the diplomacy. Before going to that adventure, they should have understood that even if we go ahead to make these appointments, the federation is the one to endorse. But if the federation doesn't endorse, they will have to make it such a way that the federation must endorse what they have given. And that's where they have been failing. So at this point in time, both parties need to understand their limits. Yes, the ministry has limits within the national territory, the national laws. But they have to understand that the federation also has powers that governs the discipline and is from the international level because they are subordinate to the international organization, which is FIFA. And FIFA instructs them based on the text and constitution of the football management. So at this point in time, the ministry, they have applied whatever they have applied, but they have to understand that for that application to be endorsed, the federation has to give a go. But now if the federation says, okay, I take the coach, but these are not my own assistants, then the federation, the ministry has to understand that, okay,
if that's what you have decided.
That's what they have decided. Since we don't have a problem. But because the a fight between two gentlemen, it cannot go. That's why a fight is injuring enough to pull. So those are the things. There is one thing that you have to understand. You have to take from another. The other previous presidents did not take this fight into his taking it.
Yeah.
They always accepted.
It was always a yes.
They always say a yes because they are the ones. They are not the one. But it was coming. He has come in with a different idea,
Mentality.
Whereby the federation has to have a say in whatever. Though the money aspect is from the ministry. But now the ministry now has to understand that the federation has some powers. Understand, the federation has some powers, and so if the federation has some powers, then the ministry has to go off something to accept whatever the federation is proposing. Because we are just 2 weeks now. If Magbreeze previously we were saying that Magbreeze would go to the stadium with two staff. But now Magbreeze now is confused whether the ministry will send him again to the pitch, or the federation will give another coaching staff. So we are now forecasting that we could see two lists, or another list published again, maybe in the days ahead. That these are the lists that will play, or they can maintain the same list and then appoint
a new coach
on a interim basis, and say, okay, you just go and lead
the team
to.
But I really don't think that that's what thousands of Cameroonians out there will want to see, such a scenario, especially when we know Team Cameroon for football, and that's why. And that might also
cause, if the federation does, then that might also cause again now the ministry to hold stages.
Yes, you're correct.
So you see the fight, how is going to emanate.
Definitely.
Because now you use by the state infrastructure.
Yeah, to play such a game.
And so the state will say, okay, you want to show that you
are tougher than
so us. We'll not give you a stage. So those are the future fight or future developments which we might see if we don't find a concluding end to this.
And definitely we'll take on to this other reaction. This is Godilu, a sport journalist from Nigeria, which says that for a while now, we the Nigerians have been observing what has been ongoing in Cameroon football, and we are just watching quietly to see what the two institutions are going to give in as result. But to me personally, I would really like the ministry to equally give in a little bit of space for the federation to do what it can do to be able to make sure that things are done the right way, especially when you have to call these players. And he goes further to say is that remember that it is the FA that has to go to these various clubs seeking for these players to participate in this particular World Cup qualifier, in as much as the ministry too wants to put in some words into what they think is right. But I think that we will keep watching and only see what the end is going to look like. Thank you very much, Godilu from Nigeria. I appreciate your contribution.
Those are, like you said, the federation sends those mails to the
various clubs,
and it must be done 2 weeks before
the competition.
So now, at this point in time, since the ministry, like I said, the ministry will understand that because the federation must appoint somebody. If you are suspended the coach and waiting for the conciliation and arbitration for sports to chamber to come out with
the resolution,
a suitable resolution. If they don't come out with any resolution, then the federation is tempted to bring in an interim coach who will take the players into battle. But now the ministry now wants to send more powers again by withholding. But I pray so it doesn't happen. If the federation wants to appoint an interim, they should allow the interim to be appointed. Because if you go and withhold the stadium, that's another big issue which will not go well for our country. That the stadium is locked because of fights.
Issue of political.
Yeah, which that again might impose sanctions on us, and not only sanctions but financial sanctions.
Definitely.
Because you have to pay the likes of maybe Cape Verde who are coming. You have to, their logistics and so forth, all those things have to be taken into consideration. So at this point in time, the federation, the ministry has to understand some of these things, that the federation to have powers based on what governs football as a discipline.
And definitely, if we have to keep talking about Minsep Fecafoot, I don't think we are going to put a full stop to this particular issue if the two parties themselves have not decided to have an understanding of what is the way forward. But to give a wrap up to this particular wuara that has been ongoing between the two parties, Jamie Atekea, if you were given an opportunity to propose a solution to this, what will it be?
Well, normally you have to just lie low, accept the federation's. That's where the problem is. Accept the federation's members of their technical team. Those have been appointed by the minister. We understand. Anybody who has followed Cameroon football for long will tell you that's cause trouble, because bringing people who have been laid out from a position back into the team,
it doesn't feel right.
It might create chaos again. So they have to understand all those things. So Mabwis is ready to work with anybody.
Yeah, very true.
Because he's new to Cameroon football, so he just wants to do his work.
It's serene atmosphere.
So the ministry should look at that and say they have to just let's slip in those lie and
now
play.
It's Minsep going to do that. Are they going to say, okay, it's time for us to keep our personal interests behind? Equally, it's Fecafoot ready to say it's time for us to keep our personal egos behind and make things right for the national team to go forward, and make things right for Cameroon to stop being on the spotlight since 2 months ago with the issue of the national team, who is going to be the head coach. From the head coach, I don't accept this head coach, and finally I accept this head coach. From this other head coach, you appoint your own, I appoint my own. And what happens? Time keeps ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking and ticking. And now you find the president of the federation coming out to say that let's not do it for ourselves, but let's do it for our nation, Cameroon. Now, who is going to accept that particular slogan from the president of the Football Federation?
That's why I feel the because they keep on saying high instructions. Now, should I even think?
That's high.
Sorry for the actual word, but I don't even think, because, like I said previously, that the Ministry of Sport have to restructure the way they manage different
other sports disciplines. Yes,
by making sure that this, because the issue here is money. Is that money issue that is bringing these loggerheads. Because I pay, I must control.
Oh my God.
So if they can be able to think and not
beyond the money
about the high instruction of the head of state every day, say about the high instruction of the head of state. No,
these are already emotions, Jimmy.
They should already think that, okay, that's why I afford them. That's why I afford them. That's why I afford the federation for not playing their role there. I afford them for that aspect, because if they play their role so well and allow these federations to organize themselves and bring source of income for themselves, we will not reach to this level where if the federation doesn't provide a coach, the ministry should provide. No,
definitely.
We will not come to this. We'll say, okay, you pay, you already see them after 4 years. If you take 4 years, Coton Sport or an elite team doesn't win the CAF Champions League, Cameroon doesn't win the Confed Cup or win a medal in the All Africa Games, then you say they have failed and you have to restructure whatever you. That's it. But they're not even thinking, they're listening high instruction of the head of state.
Are we, as Cameroonians, are we going to watch high instruction from the head of state?
Those are the things which it makes me to feel sick each time I hear most of this.
And I think that somebody buys your idea. This is still Ronald from Moyoka, who says that the ministry understands everything, but they don't care. Let's just say good luck to our future. Those coaches from the minister are angels of trouble. Whoa. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ronald from Moyoka. Like I earlier said, if you want to talk about Minsep, I don't think we are going to cut short of this particular edition of High Sport. But I think that it's time for us to draw the curtains of today's edition. As Jamie Atekea, he says that one person needs to withdraw for this particular issue to be laid to rest. we're hoping that the days ahead is going to be favorable for our national team and equally for Cameroon in general, as we are hoping for June and equally wanting to welcome June in a serene atmosphere and not longer in a chaos environment. Thank you very much, Jim Atike, for coming to the program.
Yes, it was a pleasure, and we hope things are solved
In the days ahead.
amicably so that we get into the qualifiers with some optimism.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
So we just hope, because we have 4 points and we should be looking at that direction.
Thank
Cape
you
Verde
very
4
much.
points, and Cape Verde is coming to Cameroon, and we know what
Cape Verde, we know what they did during the just ended African Cup of Nations.
Yeah,
Angola
so-
as well.
Mhm.
So, and I'm praying and hoping that in as much as the fight is ongoing, we are praying that the mentality of these players that are going to make it up to the last laser Mark Breeze are going to have a good psychology, because it's really this fight is really affecting them, despite the fact that we might not be seeing them as main actors. But I tell you that these are the people that are at the forefront of all this. These are those that are going to give us the results that the thousands and millions of Cameroonians will be anticipating to definitely see. And yes, it is here that we are going to draw the curtains of today High Sport on High Television. It's been a wonderful company with all of you contributing from various cities and equally countries here in Africa. We say thank you very much for being our guests this evening, and equally to all those who watch us silently. Thank you very much. And yes, it's going to be a bye-bye from my end to yours as we pick up the rendezvous next week, Wednesday, to talk more interesting things. Thanks to Thankful Clothing for being behind the cameras to make sure that we are on air every Wednesday, and equally to our editor-in-chief, Madame Alice Lekie Kome. We say thank you very much. And yes, have a blessed evening, and bye-bye for now.